Good evening. We are going to get the training portion of tonight started. And what I want to do before we get started is, if you're taking a look at this for the first time, and if you're a guest and you just viewed the presentation because Alex, was sharing it. And by the way, great job, Alex, tonight, and all the awesome testimonials, Jesse, Richard, Kim. You're free to stick around if you're a guest. This is great information, whether even if you're just an employee, you're not a business owner, it's fantastic to hear. Speaking from experience, I'm somebody that has been in the construction industry for some time. And like most average people, I believe I'm a pretty average person. There's not a lot of financial education out there today. And, I didn't really understand taxes very much. These two words, tax season, like most people, all it meant to me was something I did once a year and then I forgot about for the rest of the year. Until I started my own home-based business. I got an accountant and this whole world opened up to me. And I think that's why I find this video you're about to see so funny.
What is that? Is that a new lamp?
Yeah, I'm thinking of bringing homeware into the store, so that's a write-off.
That's a write-off?
Yeah.
Do you even know what a write-off is?
Yeah, it's when you buy something for your business and the government pays you back for it.
Oh, and who pays for it?
Nobody. You write it off.
Who writes it off?
I don't know. The write-off people.
This? Not a write-off.
Oh, well, the betting's non-refundable, so.
David, a write-off is a business expense used to reduce your taxable income.
Okay, well then why isn't it called a tax write-off?
It is! It is! You can't just buy things for yourself and write them off.
Well, then I'll return some things. There's not enough space in here for the massage chair anyway.
I should get back.
Now, listen, like most people, I kind of felt that way as well. I didn't understand the terms. I didn't understand what all that meant and how it all worked together. And I'm still not a professional. I don't profess to know all the answers. And this is why we've got someone on tonight's webinar that has the experience. Kevin has an MBA and a PBA, and he's also owns Paget Business Services, bookkeeping, accounting, and tax work. So you don't have to. And that's really one of the most important things I want you to get tonight, is to use a professional like Kevin. So Kevin, I want to turn the floor over to you, and I'd love for you to share a little bit more about the tax benefits of being a home-based business owner.
Hey Dom, thanks for having me. Always enjoy participating in this. ACN is a great organization. You've got a great team of people to support any of the new people there. So if you're new to ACN, welcome aboard, and you're part of an excellent group. What I wanted to do is maybe just share my screen and walk you through some of the expenses that you can claim. Can everybody see this statement of business or professional? Okay, perfect. See the thumbs up from Dom. So basically, I'll back up a sec. So basically, when you have a small business as the ACN, you own a business, and you can write off certain expenses on your personal tax return, and I'll kind of walk you through this. So in a personal tax return, there's a schedule called the T2125. So that's your statement of business income. So this is a tax form right from CRA. You can Google it at T2125. And this is an excellent guide for what kind of expenses you can incur. So basically, like, the first part of it is your business income. So as you grow in ACN, you'll be getting reports on a monthly or quarterly basis on how much your earnings are in ACN. And this is the section, part 3A, that you would record that total amount. And then now we move down a little further to the good part. Now here's this is the list that CRA provides, but there's a lot more than more types of expenses that you can incur than just this. So obviously advertising, meals and entertainment. The issue with meals and entertainment is only 50% of that can actually be written off. Bad debts, hopefully that doesn't happen. Insurance, interest and bank charges. So one of the things I recommend anyone in ACN is to open up a separate bank account for any of the expenses and income that you're going to get. It makes it a lot easier down the road when things grow and you're to not have to separate personal versus business income and expenses. Office expenses, so that can be anything from pens, erasers, paper, anything along that front. Professional fees, accounting fees, fees that an accountant or a tax preparation person would charge you. Management and admin fees, probably not something you need to worry about at this stage. Rent, that is if you had a storefront, you would be able to charge or claim your rent. Repairs and maintenance, probably not applicable at this stage. Your salaries and wages, property taxes, probably not applicable either. Travel expenses, this one is probably a good one for many ACN people. When the world gets back to normal, there's a number of conferences that ACN has around North America, and those conferences are deductible. There's CRA usually allows you to have 2 per year that you can go, but it's definitely a good advantage to be able to write those trips off to San Diego or Florida. It's all totally legitimate. Utilities probably not applicable at this stage as far as the business is concerned. There you'll see it says fuel costs, and then a little further down motor vehicle expenses. The best way for ACN people to claim vehicle expenses is to track your mileage, and this can be done through a whole number of apps on your phone, or as simple as getting a logbook and writing down the mileage. Anything that you're doing to gain business from ACN is a tax write-off. So basically that's 59 cents per kilometer for the first 5,000 kilometers, and it goes down a bit after that. So this is all your traditional bank business expenses that most businesses can write off. Now, the nice part about being an ACN, you're considered a home-based business. So you can write off a portion of your house as a business expense. Now, this form, again, I'll move down a little further. So on the screen now, you'll see this part section calculation of business use of home expenses. So you can claim a portion of your heat, your electrical, your home insurance, maintenance and repairs that you're done to your house, mortgage interest, not only the interest portion, and property taxes. Now, and how this works is if the technical way to do it is to take the square footage of your house, of your whole house, and then the square footage of your office area, and divide the office area by the whole house. And usually it's between 10 and 15%. So if you add up all those expenses on this part 7 and they total $20,000 and your home office is 10%, you get a write-off of $2,000 in addition to any of the other expenses that you've recorded up top here. Now, a lot of times when you're first starting out, you're going to take this revenue number and you're going to minus your expenses, and you're going to end up with a negative number, and that's fine. CRA does allow you for 3 to 5 years to have losses in your business and continue to operate that way. Now, the nice part about it is, let's say you had a modest loss of $1,000, and you had you're still working a job, you have T4 income, and you're paying, 35% tax on your earnings. Now, along comes ACN, you have a loss of $1,000. Guess what? That reduces your income or your taxable income from, say, the 35,000 you made down to 34,000. So you're in that scenario saving about $350. So there's definitely some advantages to having this home-based business. And I mean, it is a lot of people do this. It's a great way to do some tax savings and rather have the money in your pocket than have it in Justin's pocket. So yeah, I don't know if I have any questions on that. I have a couple other quick slides I want to show that are not related to this, but I just thought, Don, that if there's any questions right now, we could answer a few.
You know what? That's fantastic, Kevin. On the subject, I do have one, and then we'll transition to your the next slides. Let's talk about communication with an accountant. I'm going to speak from the perspective of somebody that, maybe they're not analytical, they don't like numbers, they already get stressed out about tax time and tax season. Can you talk a little bit from your standpoint as an accountant, how important it is to simply communicate, ask questions, that you're there to help people, you're there to do a great job, and the more information and the more communication there is, the better. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, for sure, absolutely. I mean, that's the more I know about your financial situation, the better I can help you. If there's, if you approach me, you're talking to your accountant and you just give me your T4 slips and say some of your ACN things, but I don't know that you have a disabled child at home. There's deductions you can take for that. If you have there's caregivers deductions for that, or if you have a child in play school, or there's deductions for that. Again, it's all about communicating and telling your accountant your whole picture. Anything that relates to having to spend money in your household, that's fair game for the accountant to know, so that he can help you, or he or she can help you save some money.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, what I'll get you to do is transition to those other slides. I've got a few more questions, but just want to see if they get touched on in these next couple slides.
Let me just see if that's the one. Sorry, I think this is the one. So yeah, sorry, I just wanted to share this. You can see the slide okay? I just wanted to talk about some income tax filing deadlines. So if you're an individual, you have until April 30th, 2021 to file your tax, and payment date April 30th, 2021 as well. So what that means is you do your tax returns, you submit it, say on March 5th, you owe $2,000, that's fine. As soon as you do, May 1st comes along, if you haven't paid that $2,000 to CRA, they start tacking on interest. So that's where the payment date, if you have the ability to make your payment at or before April 30th, then no interest accrues on that. So the other thing, talking about individual taxes like that, if you run into the situation where you cannot pay your taxes for whatever reason, don't hide that fact from CRA. That's going to cause more problems than not, because CRA, I mean, especially now with COVID and everything, CRA is pretty compassionate, and you can usually make payment arrangements to spread that payment over 6 to 12 months. So again, worst thing you can do is hide. CRA will find you anyways, but if you're open and honest with them, they're usually pretty good. Corporate tax, if you have a corporation, you can have a year end any of the 12 months of the year. It's not December 31st for every company, but you have to file within 6 months after that year end, or you get some hefty penalties. Self-employed, which many of you will be now that you're an ACN, you don't actually have to file on April 30th. You can file on June 15th. The only issue is that it's still that payment date of April 30th. So if you do end up owing taxes, you don't have to file till June 15th, but they'll start tacking on the tax or the interest on your taxes on April 30th. And then GST as well. It probably won't affect many of you unless you start making over $30,000 a year. That's when the GST starts to kick in. So I think that's sort of the only other piece I wanted to mention is if any of you have had to change your working life from going into an office or to working from home, there's a couple options that CRA is going to give you now to be able to claim a home office expense. Basically, it's up to $2 a day, up to $400 that you get to claim. You don't need any paperwork from your employer or your employee. There's a little bit of some rules around that are on the screen, but if you're taking your bookkeeping and your taxes to an accountant, they can walk you through the details. So yeah, I just thought that would be a nice reminder for many of you there. So
Well, I think that's fantastic, Kevin, because I'm sure you know better than I do, but is this possibly the first time that an employee can use at-home tax benefits? I don't know of this happening any other time in the last couple of decades.
yeah, absolutely. This is kind of a first one-off kind of thing for 2020 because of the COVID scare, but maybe who knows what 2021 will bring. But yeah, so there are some definite advantages, and I mean, you tie it in with what you can also claim through ACN here. Hopefully, you'll have a nice, good tax refund.
That's fantastic. And you know, I've got something else I want you to talk about. When it comes to writing things off, how much, and you mentioned a few different examples of percentages of different purchases that can be written off. That can be a lot for somebody to think about, compile in their head. And for somebody that has never owned a business before, can you discuss the importance or the purpose of a bookkeeper? What's a bookkeeper? Why is it good to have one, especially for people that aren't organized?
That is a good question. So a bookkeeper is basically the one your keeper of all records for you. Think of it that way. So they will sort and make collate all your receipts, your slips, and literally, I've had clients that are not good bookkeepers, and you know, paperwork is not their forte, and they'll bring in the literal shoebox full of receipts. I can't remember if I told you the one story where I had somebody come in, a new client, and they had one of the overhead carriage, you know, suitcase for airplane. I opened it up and it was stuffed full of receipts for, you know, A&W and McDonald's, and then he was a drywaller, so from all the purchases he had made from his drywall supplies. So that took an enormous amount of time just to sort and compile and get the detail on what those expenses actually were. So one of my recommendations are that you sort your anything that you buy for ACN, put in an envelope. Just, you know, I'll call it ACN expenses, and keep it. And that's, make sure you stuff everything, because sometimes I've had clients that I had this expense, but now I can't find it, and it's hard to go back and explain that to CRA should you get audited. So it's important just to keep that filed, and an accountant or a bookkeeper will summarize all those expenses, allocate them to the right categories, and make your life a lot easier as far as reporting those numbers in that T2125 that we looked at earlier.
Now, just a little shout out to my wife, but I have to. I'm a good husband. Jordana, and one thing to even do for your bookkeeper, it's a good practice to get into, but, you can purchase one of these plastic folios. It literally costs nothing. And even just keep the job easier for your bookkeeper and hand that to your bookkeeper instead of, once again, handing a shoebox or handing a bunch of receipts. If I might be wrong in this, and this may have been a long time ago, but receipts are kind of, if you rub on them or if they get too warm, they can also wear out and you may not be able to read what's on them. I don't know if that's true still anymore, Kevin, but.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And one of the product that I offer to my clients is something called Receipt Bank. Basically, it's a tool, or it's an application on your phone that you take a picture of your receipts as you get them, as they process through your hands. And if you're out at a restaurant taking a client out, and take a picture, it uploads it into the cloud, and your bookkeeper would have it, and you would have it, and it feeds. We use QuickBooks, for instance, to track a lot of our clients' bookkeeping, and it feeds right into that system as well. So it's all nice and streamlined and cost efficient.
So, I mean, a big tip is finding a way or a system for you and receipts that works personally for you. So you do them regularly. So you're not waiting, procrastinating. So it's something that fits into your lifestyle. I want to circle back, Kevin, on the subject of communication. One of the services you offer in-house is obviously bookkeeping. But what would you say to somebody that says, well, I've got my own bookkeeper, Kevin. I can imagine from your standpoint, you'd be in constant communication on a regular basis with a bookkeeper and using their services in a certain way, having it arranged, all that information in a certain way. Can you talk about the importance of having all of that under one roof?
Absolutely. Again, it's something like we talked about earlier. It's a bit about communication, right? So, if my bookkeeper is doing the bookkeeping for ACN client, then we're in constant communication. We know we have a system in place. They know what I'm looking for as an accountant. A lot of times, bookkeepers are great at what they do, but sometimes it's not part of their job to know the tax laws and that. And those are constantly changing. Every year I go on a 2-day extensive course to go through all the new tax laws and changes, and both on the personal and on the corporate tax. So that's kind of why it's important to have everything in the same firm to help with those levels of communication.
Well, Kevin, I mean, I think that's also a good transition to, promoting your business, because you're somebody that is entrenched in this daily, monthly, annually. You're learning about new tax laws. You're doing, obviously, because it's your job and your business, it's what you do. And that's why it's important to use a professional. So what's the best way for people to get in contact with you? If they're looking for somebody, maybe they're unhappy with who they currently have, they're thinking about making a change. What's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you? And of course, we'll put all your information on our threads, but is there anything you'd like to
add? Thanks for having me. I love helping you guys out. I guess communication, 780-464-6441 is our phone number. Kevin at padgettsherwood.ca is another way to communicate. And I get messages through Messenger and Facebook and LinkedIn and all these different types of ways to communicate these days. So texting. So again, I appreciate the ask to come and talk to everybody, and too bad we couldn't do this in person. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year, we'll see. But thank you again, Kevin. I really appreciate it. And I'd also like to mention as well, I'm going to share with everybody what I've got here on my screen. If you're listening in on this, and we do have some Americans that are listening in on this, ACN Corporate sent out an email saying all US IBOs who earn money in 2020 will now find their yearly taxable earnings statement in the new IBO back office on the My Businesses tab. So look for that in your back office. Individual positions that earned more than $600 in 2020 will also have a 1099 document available in America. Corporations, LLCs, and trusts are not required to receive 1099s. And if you have foreign tax withholdings, they will be reflected in your taxable earnings statement in the IBO back office. So look for that email, and make sure that you look for that tab in your back office as well. One thing that I'd also like to do is promote somebody else and have somebody else come on here just for a few moments, Sharon Ramstead. Now, Kevin is a great example of an IBO that is a part of ACN. ACN is something that he participates on the side and the benefits of ACN. But of course, accounting is his primary focus and running his business. Sharon, on the other hand, is somebody that's on the opposite end of the spectrum. As a CPA MBA, she's worked at the University of Grant MacEwan for over a decade, and she's made ACN her focus. And, her career has kind of taken a little bit of a backstage to ACN. So Sharon, before we get started, can you maybe discuss a little bit about your background? There's some people that maybe have never met you before and your experience with Grant MacEwan in the industry.
Okay, thank you, Dom. So like Dom said, I am his mother. Well, he didn't say this, but I'm his mother-in-law. So we really build this business as a family. So that's been absolutely incredible. We have my husband and I outside of ACN, we have a trucking and excavating business. And so that's a family business we've had for 47 plus years. And prior to doing this industry, I taught at MacEwan, but even prior to doing that, I worked in industry. So I worked for different corporations and, plus doing the accounting for our business, and then had the incredible privilege of teaching at MacEwan University for over a decade. So that has been really phenomenal. And so I think it was really important what Kevin said about making sure you get good tax advice. So I have a CPA, I have an MBA, I have to do professional development to keep my CPA every year, but I have not taken an update on tax in the last 10 years. And so even though I'm a CPA, I can do everything. I do our own personal taxes, but we have 3 businesses. So we have our trucking business, which is a corporation. We have 2 positions in ACN. One is a corporation and one we operate as a sole proprietor. And so for our corporations, just because of keeping up with all the taxes, I have an incredible tax accountant. Unfortunately, he's not taking any new clients, but I think that's a very important part. And even I am so passionate about the business that we have, that we can do it from home. And I think the one mistake that a lot of IBOs do is not taking advantage of the business expenses that we are allowed. And I really believe in, even if you're not sure, put it in, do it like Jordana suggested in the chat. Not only keep it on a monthly basis, and if you're not sure, put it in. And then whether you're doing it, if you actually go to a tax person, but there's some really good tax programs are available right now. And it's not to ever be afraid of the CRA, because if it's not allowable, they'll let you know. And so it's, but I think the biggest mistake that we make is not taking advantage of all the expenses that we are allowed.
Now, Sharon, I'm a visual person. I'm a visual learner, and having somebody like you in our family has been amazing to go to with advice. Not everybody has that, and not everybody has that kind of closeness to somebody who has an awareness about taxes. So I remember at one point when we were meeting in person, at the end of a presentation, this was a simple Excel spreadsheet that we would hand to somebody just as a generalization, a very 30,000 foot view and an understanding of what tax benefits are for having a home-based business and what it means to lower your taxable income, especially for people that are visual learners, people that aren't analytical. And what I'd love you to do is maybe just kind of walk us through this document. I know Kevin kind of talked about it a little bit, but I'd love for you to walk us through this document.
Okay, so and this spreadsheet is a little bit old, so we got to make sure that we have the right percentages, but let's just pretend that it is. And so if we look at just an employee, so let's say as an employee, your employment income is 60,000 and you didn't have any business income and there was no expenses that you were allowed. So your taxable income is 60,000. And so with your federal taxes and your provincial taxes, you would pay total taxes on that 60,000 of 17,100. So the advantage of having a home-based business, about having business income, is now you're allowed expenses, business expenses, that you're not allowed as strictly an employee. So if you go over to the ACN business, let's say you make $1,200 in business income, and that year you did a lot of traveling and you're setting up your business and you had a lot of business expenses. Well, if you take the employment income plus the business income minus the allowable expenses, now do you see your taxable income lowered? And because your taxable income lowered, you were in a lower federal tax bracket. And so your federal taxes went to 6,900, your provincial taxes went to 46. So the total taxes that you were obligated to pay was 11,500, but through your employment income, you paid the 17,000. So that's why in this example, why you would get a refund, because what it does, it lowers your taxable income. So that means that you overpaid in taxes and now you're going to get a tax refund.
Thank you, Sharon. And then again, this reiterates why it's so important to use a professional, and there are benefits to it. You know, you don't have to know all of this, but you can use a professional like Kevin to help you with it. Now, Sharon, I'd love for you to talk about, I think this year, all of us have used PPE, masks. I don't know if out there you're like us, but if you bought boxes of them, you need them wherever you go. Can you talk about, is that a write-off? It's something we need to do business?
Okay. And I am not going to take credit for this. This is that amazing Jordana. She knows everything about COVID. So she went and found, as an employee, if you're just an employee, you can't write off the mask and you can't write off all of the things to do with COVID. But as a self-employed business owner, you can write off the sanitation, you can write off the mask. And so that's just another advantage of a business expense that will lower your taxable income. And so thank you, Jordana, for bringing that up for all of us.
Now, I think a question that is 100% within your wheelhouse is the subject of being your own personal customer. You know, I'm thinking of people that maybe have seen this ACN for the first time, or they're a new IBO. And, they're just kind of looking at being their own personal customer, like getting a home phone. Maybe they don't currently have one. And they're only thinking of the surface benefits. Maybe I'm not, it might not save me enough money to switch, or maybe I'm not currently using that service. But there's a whole other realm of benefits for being your own personal customer. And that comes to tax time and writing services off. So I'd love for you to talk about, Sharon, let's take somebody that is only using Flash internet, but maybe they don't currently see the benefit of being a home phone customer, gas, electric, home security, and more services to come. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. And so really the proper term is not a write-off. The proper term, it's a business expense. So all of these services that we use in our ACN business become a business expense, an allowable expense to lower your taxable income. And so even whether you're, like saving, that's wonderful. But the fact that you can use it as a business expense is crucial in operating your home-based business.
and of course, all the other benefits in ACN to, of course, being qualified, the promotion, your very first paycheck, but to tack on top the fact that now it's a business expense. Thanks for correcting me there, Sharon. That's gonna put you in a better position at the end of the year. I want to give you a chance to, as an open floor here, to Sharon, as somebody who's got experience in this industry and in the tax industry and being an accountant, but also being successful in ACN. You and Tim are regional vice presidents. You guys were one of the first regional vice presidents here in Canada, top customer gatherers, top team builders. You're now a trainer in ACN. You and Tim together have tens of thousands of customers. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Just that what we have our hands on is absolutely incredible. So I've worked in industry. I had the privilege of teaching at MacEwan University, but for flexibility and be able to really drive what our income is, ACN has been absolutely phenomenal for our family. But I think what's even more important, this time that we're going through, there's really a change, and people talk about, I want to get back to normal. There is going to be a new normal. And part of that is just taking charge of your life, taking charge of your business. And this is just, I think, an incredible online business where we can go out and help families not only go and get some of those services for free, but we can help them create a residual income. And that residual income is absolutely phenomenal. And I really appreciate when Alex did the presentation, was saying when he started ACN, he did not need ACN because he had all these other, multiple streams of income. And then at one point, beyond his control, they stopped, but he had this, which is in our control. And so very much appreciate of what we have our hands on. And when we realize, and Tim and I, we just, even today, we got up and we're so grateful that we have this business that is truly an online business, a business where we can go out and impact our economy. We can impact where we live. We can make a difference in the lives of people, because and I think what we really do as an organization, as a team, is that we really encourage and want people to be successful. And that's why we have tonight. That's why we bring on people with specialty to be able to help us to grow our business and be able to help us to be successful and take advantage of everything that ACN offers.
Before we move on, Sharon, there's two questions I'd love you to address. One was the comment from Kim, and then your comment about using credit card receipts and printed off receipts. I'd love you to talk about that.
Okay, so I am a stickler for having receipts and backup. I think it's just important when you have them. And so I'm probably over the top. So when I take my credit card statement, I actually do a spreadsheet and I categorize everything according to whether it's for tracking or whether it's for ACN or whether it's personal, so that I'm able to track everything. But I also make sure I have all the receipts to attach to the credit card statement, because, well, for one thing, to make sure I'm not being charged for something that is not mine. But I think it's really important to have the receipts. Now, every now and again, there's not a receipt, and that's okay. But I think it's really important to keep those physical receipts, to reconcile, to make sure that all the charges are yours, but then also that you have a trail.
Last thing I'll mention is that, that's something that you've always been a big advocate of, Sharon, is just, if you're face-to-face with the CRA, can you explain it? Is it defensible? Don't take advantage of the system. That's usually when problems begin to happen. Just be honest, communicate with your accountant. There was a question about, why is hand sanitizer and masks an expense? One reason would be, and of course, not depending on provincial regulations or the regulations of where you live. There are instances where you might go to a customer's house and help them plug in a modem, or help them with a service, especially if they're elderly or if they have limited mobility, and just going that above and beyond, offering that above and beyond customer service. That would be an instance where you would need masks and hand sanitizer. which would trigger that expense. So fantastic.
And I think everything that is going to help you to do your business pretty much is allowable expense. And then if it's not, the CRA, if you go online to the CRA, they're very good at outlining what's an expense and what's not. And if you have a tax accountant, they are very good because they keep up with all the changes. And also there's some really good tax programs, especially if you're operating as a sole proprietor. So you just add that on when you do your T1, your regular tax return, and they're really good, the tax programs, and they walk you through each step and what expense is, what's allowable, what's not.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sharon. And what I want to do is shift gears here now to something that will be new that's launching. It's a new service, like I just talked with Sharon. It will be a service that I think every IBO will either want to have, should definitely have, for one reason, obviously being an additional expense, but that's ID Seal Titan. Now, if you're new, or maybe you've been out of the loop just for because life happened, I think for many people, we're going to be launching early 2021 here, a brand new service in the country of Canada. It's already been doing amazing in the US, and it's going to be launching in Canada. And it's identity theft protection. And there's a lot of different features packed within this identity theft protection service. And we've been doing regular trainings on Thursday nights, kind of breaking down the features and showing you the benefits of every single one, and how all of them combined together offer such an incredible value that if you broke it apart, it would be so much more expensive to get all of those different features and functions and protection. But one of them that I want to highlight is the VPN. So why you should be using a VPN. Now, ID Seal Titan in Canada, one of the features will be a VPN. And there are a couple of benefits to a VPN. One of the first benefits is that you can browse the internet incognito. And that means your VPN encrypts all your data and gives you a new IP address. Basically, you become a ghost. And why give up your info if you don't have to? I mean, we all know that these big tech companies don't exactly have our best interests at heart most of the time. I think you'd agree with me. And if there was a very simple way with the click of a button where you could just be a ghost on the internet and no one could track you, doesn't that sound a lot more convenient, a lot better overall? Another benefit of a VPN is that you can access files safely. Everybody's working remotely from home. 2020, it's become normal, but without a VPN, the information you access could be at risk. There are individuals that work for the government that are now working from home. It astonishes me that, I met a government employee and, they thought it was perfectly fine to access government files while, they were in a hotel lobby, or they were using, let's say, coffee shop free access Wi-Fi. And that is probably the worst place and the worst Wi-Fi to use. And it's the easiest way to lose your identity or have some sort of fraud happen to you, or have somebody steal some important information. If somebody works from home, they need to have a VPN. If you're accessing work files, if you're accessing important files, you need to have that extra layer of protection. And another benefit for having a VPN is faster downloads. Some internet service providers slow down online gaming speeds, large downloads, or 4K streaming. What is everybody doing nowadays? Binge watching TV, Netflix, you name it. They're downloading stuff, they're spending time on the internet, or they're playing video games. So if you've noticed that your internet speeds are a little bit lower, internet service providers may be consciously lowering your speed during peak hours. And what a VPN can do is it can potentially offer you faster download speeds. And lastly, accessing Geoblocked websites and content. Imagine if you could double, triple, open up your Netflix library to shows that were in different countries. Did you know that if you're in Canada, the American Netflix actually has more shows? Maybe people in different ethnic communities would like to watch, let's say, German Netflix or Netflix in a different language. But you can do that with a VPN. You can actually access Geoblocked websites or Geoblocked content. And what that does is just give you more bang for your buck. Your annual Netflix subscription is now going further. So there's a lot of benefits, not just a VPN, but so many of the other services that are included with IDCL Titan. It's an absolutely incredible service. I encourage you to stay in communication with the person that introduced you to this information tonight, and they'll make sure that you have the latest info. I also just want to give a shout out to some incredible leaders that are doing some amazing things recently. You know, you heard from Kim Randell in the presentation tonight. Her and her husband Mike are, doing amazing in ACN. They've got free services, a lot of personal customer points. They're on their way halfway to regional director, and have even, achieved some regular bonuses that I'll show you in a moment here. And they've even helped multiple families get a $150 gift card right before Christmas. And, it reminds me of people like Marion McFall and Krista Hilker, who are two amazing ETLs that are also a part of our team. Marion's got a lot of personal customer points and a thriving team. Krista's an amazing leader who's, experienced the bonuses of ACN when you gather customers. And both of them are also trainers as a part of our team, as well with Kim Rendell. Lisa Barker in ETL, 75 points. She's got free home phone and internet, free gas and electric usage, has hit multiple bonuses as well, months in a row, and is one of the trainers in the market. And I don't want to leave out our regional directors. Our regional directors really are steering the ship for our team and really helping many of the new people get off to a fast start, promote, and generate some quick income. People like Richard Griffith, Alex Patterson, Darren and Kim Cluth, Cecilia and Kim Martin, all of them, amazing regional directors, top customer gatherers. They've got free services. They've helped people get free services as well. And not only do they have a lot of customers, the people on their team have hundreds and thousands of customers cumulatively. So we've got a lot of people here that are ready and willing to help you build your business. And if you've taken a break from ACN, if life happened, which it did for many people, we are ready to help you get up and running. Now is the best time ever to get your ACN business off the ground. And listen, don't worry about it. You won't miss a beat. You won't miss a step. We can get you going right away. I'm looking at people like Jesse and Tabitha who, started using our system. And what happened to them was their business went from where it was to active, growing, and now exciting. And they're excited about their ACN business. They've got new leaders on their team and they've got brand new growth. So I really want to encourage you, if you've taken a break, that's okay. The people that you've been working with, all of our regional directors, we would love to hear from you. We would love to just get going and help you start making some money in 2021. And these are the kind of bonuses that I'm talking about. When you're out there gathering, we got so many great services. IDCL is coming, and IDCL can be worth, in the US, it's worth up to 8 customer points. So as you can see in the middle section of that spreadsheet there, 8 customer points is a lot. And that triggers a lot of bonuses. So, we're going to have so many people when IDCL launches that are going to make hundreds or thousands of dollars in just bonuses alone, being able to help people protect their identity, in addition to all of our other great services. And of course, gathering customers helps you with your residual income. Sharon put this together for us, but imagine 20 independent business owners on your team, gathering about $1,250 worth of commissionable revenue. Now, what do I mean by commissionable revenue? Well, how much money does a household pay for in bills? I want you to think about your situation. What does the average internet bill cost? Home phone, gas, electricity, home security, maybe a few hundred dollars a month. So how many households would it take to generate $1,250 in commissionable revenue? I think you'd agree with me, conservatively, about 5 households would be a really good average, very conservative. So if you have 20 independent business owners on your team that refer these services to 5 households each, which I think is realistic, wouldn't you agree? Well, that means with the ACN compensation plan, you're making an overriding residual income of $1,000 a month. Now imagine you could have more IBOs doing the same or less IBOs doing more, but imagine generating $5,000 a month in residual income. How would that change your 2021? How would that change the choices you make? How would it change your stress level? How would it change your relationships? How would it change the way that you live this year? Now, I'm going to tell you some bad news. this may not happen overnight. It could if you work really hard, but let's be realistic. ACN takes work. It's a real business. You got to gather real customers, and that's why we get real tax benefits. It's willable, saleable, transferable. But I want you to imagine for a second us being at the end of 2021. And at the end of 2021, you've got a residual income that comes in month after month after month. That's maybe $1,000. Maybe it's $2,000. Maybe it's even $5,000 if you're willing to really follow the system and work hard. But you can't change your course. You can't change your destination overnight, but you can change your course overnight. You can change the decision that you make right now and the decision that you make tomorrow. And what that can lead to is an asset that benefits your family. It can lead you to tax benefits, like we mentioned, if you work with a professional. And there's so many other benefits that we don't have time to talk about tonight. One benefit, if you're new and you've never seen ACN before, this is your first experience. Wow, what a lot of information you heard tonight. Not only did we show you an amazing business, we showed you the tax benefits of that business, the kind of money that you can make if you work hard. But if you're brand new and you're looking at this for the first time, now is a great month to get started with ACN. We have a bonus that allows you to actually make $425 for something that you're going to do anyways in the business, which is refer it to a few people, gather a few customers. Normally without this bonus, you'd get paid your $75 quick start bonus. You'd also get a few bonuses for having somebody join your team. But because of this bonus, there's an extra $425 on the table for something everyone's going to do anyways. Me and my wife, when we saw ACN, we experienced a bonus like this, and it allowed us to pay for the entire annual running cost of our ACN business. So it is a great time to get started with ACN. And if you need more information, if it was your first exposure seeing the ACN opportunity, maybe you'd like to see it one more time, talk to your friend. They can send you the recording of the presentation that happened tonight. Or you can actually take advantage of a lot of the live presentations that we do every single week. Our next presentation is going to be on Monday night, live, 7 p.m. We're also going to have another presentation on Thursday. And this coming Saturday, we've actually got an awesome ETL leadership training event. So I want to thank everybody for coming on the training tonight. And thank you for some of the great questions in the chat. I also want to thank Kevin and Sharon for allowing me to interview them and for all of us to learn together. And I want to thank all the great leaders as well that we have on our team. And again, if you're looking at this for the first time, or if you've been MIA for a little bit, it's all right. Now is the best time ever to get started. Thanks for coming on tonight. Have a great night.